Bienvenidos a Pasos de Éxito con Ana Cristina Martínez. Toda la información que necesitas para ingresar a las mejores universidades de Estados Unidos, siendo mexicano o de alguna otra nacionalidad. Bienvenidos.
Muy buenos días a todos nuestros queridos radioescuchas. Ustedes están sintonizando XHGTS 107.3. Mi nombre es Ana Cristina Martínez y esto es Pasos de Éxito. Pues seguimos celebrando 5 años en la radio, 5 años informando a la comunidad de Laredo y de Nuevo Laredo sobre educación. La educación no nada más lo que es high school, pero también lo que es educación superior. Y por eso esta mañana tenemos un invitado muy especial. Es verdaderamente un honor tener a un hombre de su categoría en nuestro programa. Él es Ray Martínez III. Él es el comisionado de todas las relaciones académicas y de trabajo a nivel estatal para el estado de Texas. Y él ha sido un hombre que ha luchado mucho para poder desarrollar y mantener efectivamente toda la información para las universidades y los community college. Y también pues han diseñado él y su comité ante el estado de Texas todo lo que es los diferentes programas para poder avanzar y tener más clases a nivel high school, pero en la universidad y también en las universidades, diferentes programas. Entonces, esta mañana vamos a tenerlo aquí en nuestro programa de Pasos de Éxito. Y pues yo me siento muy, pero muy contenta porque él va a pues transmitir lo que de primera mano se habla y se sabe a nivel estatal. Lo va a compartir con nosotros para que Laredo y Nuevo Laredo sepan lo que está ocurriendo a nivel estatal y nosotros pues aprovechemos estas oportunidades que nos brinda lo que es hoy en día la educación superior. Hoy en día vamos a regresar a todo en línea y Laredo College tiene un descuento de 20% en todas sus clases para que ustedes puedan regresar a estudiar. Muchas personas dicen, no, yo ya estoy grande, yo ya no, pero la verdad no deben de pensar de esa forma. Si está la oportunidad ahí, tómenla y regresen a estudiar algo que ustedes siempre han querido estudiar. Ese sueño que tenían ahí debajo de la almohada, bueno, pues ya sáquenlo, apúntenlo y a trabajar. Todavía faltan algunas semanas para entrar a Laredo College. El primer día de clases es el 31 de agosto. Por lo tal, aprovechemos y regresemos a la escuela, regresemos a educarnos, regresemos a terminar eso que a lo mejor dejaron truncado. No, pero no lo dejen y no posterguen. Hay que hacer las cosas hoy. Siempre va a ser un parteaguas y antes de la pandemia y después de la pandemia. Entonces, después de la pandemia, ¿qué sigue? Seamos esas personas que construyamos nuestro futuro después de, ¿ok? Ya lo que pasó, ya pasó, pero de hoy en adelante, ¿qué sigue? ¿Qué vamos a hacer? ¿Cuál va a ser mi futuro? Entonces, los invito a que sean parte de este proceso, de esta nueva forma de ver las cosas, nueva forma de estudiar y pues los invito a que escuchen nuestra entrevista con el comisionado de Educación Superior del estado de Texas, Deputy Commissioner for Academic Affairs and Workforce Education at the Texas Higher Education and Coordinating Board, Ray Martínez III, JD. Ahorita regresamos, vamos a ir un corte y vamos a regresar con nuestra entrevista con el comisionado. Así que no se vayan, esto es Pasos de Éxito. Mi nombre es Ana Cristina Martínez y ustedes están sintonizando esta mañana 107.3 XHGTS.
Vamos a un corte y regresamos con más de Pasos de Éxito. Bienvenidos a Pasos de Éxito con Ana Cristina Martínez.
Muy buenos días a todos nuestros queridos radioescuchas. Ustedes están sintonizando XHGTS 107.3. Mi nombre es Ana Cristina Martínez y esto es Pasos de Éxito. Pues en estos 5 años al aire hemos visto el crecimiento de todo lo que es la educación en Laredo. Hemos visto todos los apoyos que hemos recibido y hemos también contribuido a tener información de primera mano desde el nivel estatal. Y esta mañana me acompaña el Deputy Commissioner for Academic Affairs and Workforce Education, Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, nuestro gran invitado, Ray Martínez III, JD. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well today. Thank you for having me on your show, and I'm looking looking forward to our conversation.
Well, it's a very it's a very it's a conversation that I would like for everyone in Laredo to enjoy, and also have it in a way that we will understand everything that is going on, at higher education at the state level. And you have a very impressive resume, and you have been the deputy for academic affairs, for the workforce education of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. You also have been developing and maintaining effective evidence-based administrative process strategies for streaming student pathways to affordable, high value credential. You have very strong partnerships with higher leaders and all for at the state level, and also you are in charge of the accelerate innovation in educational delivery. So at the beginning, I was thinking on having a show regarding the safety of the students when they go back to school, but I said you are a well of knowledge, so I will share this with everyone in Laredo. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Well, thank you for having me on, Ana Cristina. It is these are important conversations to have about higher education. Obviously, right now with the COVID-19 pandemic, it's a very uncertain time in the higher education arena. But we know that that for so many people, getting some sort of a credential or a degree beyond high school is important. And that's one of the things that I've tried to work on throughout my career. I grew up in South Texas. I'm the first in my family to go to college and to graduate from college and to go on to law school. And so the subject of higher education and post-secondary degrees, post-secondary credentials is one that is very meaningful to me personally, and I'm glad to be able to work on it. With the folks that I work with at the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. So again, I'm looking forward to the conversation. Thank you for taking the time to talk.
It is interesting that you can relate to our community, and we have so many students that are first-time college graduates. So you know exactly how is it in our community, and this is something that you've been working for a few years, or and about strategies for streaming students pathways. Can you give us more about this that you have been working on for a while,
Yes.
Quite a while?
Of course, happy to talk a little bit about that. So, as you probably know, in the state of Texas, we have a wide variety of different types of opportunities for students to be able to get some sort of a degree or a credential beyond high school. In Texas, we have many outstanding community colleges. In fact, 50 community college districts. I think that there are maybe like 85 or 84 actual community college campuses, like Laredo Community College there locally. And these are fine institutions that offer excellent educational opportunities, again, beyond high school, whether it's for a degree like an associate's degree, or whether it is for something like a workforce certificate. These are, again, our community colleges are known for their excellence, and they're known to be able to provide very good opportunities for students who are looking for some sort of a higher education pathway beyond the high school degree. But then we also have a very robust and a very good selection of four-year universities like Texas A&M International University there in Laredo. Again, these are higher education institutions that value excellence. They have outstanding faculty, and most importantly for students, they offer various pathways. And again, these are pathways that may lead to a degree at a university, like a bachelor's degree, for example. But many of our four-year universities, like our community colleges, also offer other pathways as well, to certificates or to some sort of a credential that has high value. And by that, of course, we mean a credential that allows a student to begin working in a field, in a chosen field, as soon as they graduate, and in many cases even before they graduate, with that credential or with that degree, through internship opportunities and things like that. So we have a very robust higher education system. Of course, we also have a vast network of independent, private, not-for-profit colleges that exist throughout the state. In San Antonio, we have St. Mary's University, which again is an independent, private, not-for-profit university, University of the Incarnate Word, Our Lady of the Lake University, Trinity University. All of those are examples of independent colleges. But then again, we also have these outstanding public universities like A&M International there locally, Laredo College there as your community college. And then I could give you examples throughout the state, including in Corpus or in San Antonio, of various public and independent colleges that offer, great pathways, just opportunities for students to find what is their interest, what is their comfort level. Some students may choose to go and have a post-secondary experience at a larger university, and have the potential to have interaction with a large number of students and a larger selection of different pathways, whereas other students want to choose a smaller campus environment, not as many students, maybe classes that are smaller in size, maybe more opportunities to interact with faculty and maybe take on some research projects, things like that. These are all considerations that a student, along with their family, as they're in high school and making decisions about what they want to do for college, these are all decisions that a student can make and decide which direction to go in. And what I think we're very fortunate here in Texas, because we do have a wide variety of opportunities. So, as I said, I grew up in Alice, Texas. My father was an auto mechanic. My mother stayed home with me and my three older sisters. I chose to go to a small college. It's called Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas, and it was really no larger than my high school. But that, to me, was my comfort level. When I went to college, I wanted to go to a small college and not something too large and overwhelming. On the other hand, many students want to be able to experience larger campuses because there are more opportunities for research, to do research as an undergraduate student, or just other opportunities for various pathways. So that's what's great about higher education here in Texas, is the diversity of our institutions, the size, their geographic location, their institutional mission. But without a doubt, what I can say with full confidence is that irrespective of what pathway a student chooses, whether to go to a community college or to go to a four-year university, what's great about higher education in Texas is a dedication to excellence. Every institution has as its primary concern the emphasis to strive towards excellence for their students, be the very best that they can be for their students, so that their students can come and achieve, again, either a credential or a degree of high value, so that the student can use that experience and begin to get a job and be a productive contributor back to our great country. And so excellence is at the forefront of our higher education institutions, and to the extent that our agency, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, can contribute to that, that's what we're trying to do, is to help our institutions to be our higher ed institutions to be the very best that they can be. So I hope that's helpful to kind of get our conversation started, Ana Cristina.
Well, you mentioned offer various pathways even before they graduate. So we have seen in Laredo in the past 5 years the increase of students graduating from high school with an associate's degree, with 60 hours of college hours, and everything is affordable because the districts will pay for their classes. So this is something that it was not there when I went to high school, or maybe when you went to high school, but somehow, from the state of Texas, they decided to modify this excellence, because you're talking about excellence. And this is something that our students now, if they believe it and if they can do it, they will continue with their pathway for higher education. But if they never experience, it's very hard for them to understand what is higher education. But everything has been done, because of people like you at the state level, that they really work hard for this type of programs that increases the number of students having a college degree or a college associate, and having more college hours before they graduate. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think the opportunities, and you're right. For me, the dual credit courses were not offered when I went to high school back in the 1980s. I'm older. I'm 55. So back when I was in high school, those were not there were not those opportunities. And today things are very different. My daughter is 19. My son is 16. And as they've made their way through school, they've had opportunities in high school to be able to take, as you say, these dual credit courses that allows a student to get not just credit for their high school work so that they can achieve their high school diploma, but it also allows them to be concurrently enrolled in a college course, so that the credit is also given towards a college degree. In this case, for dual credit courses towards an associate's degree. Now, not all students take enough courses to graduate from high school with an associate's degree. I think that's still a few students that do that. They're able to accumulate hours towards that college degree, so that when they do start at Laredo College, for example, or at any of the other community colleges around the South Texas region, or wherever they decide to go, they have already a good number of college credits that they're able to come into that institution with. And it helps in two ways. It helps to make the cost of their degree less expensive, because they did accumulate these college credit courses during high school. So it makes their path towards a college degree, whether it's an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, it shortens it, which means it's cost effective, less expensive to get that associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or a workforce certificate if that's the path they choose. But it's also true on the academic side. And what we find that students that are enrolled in dual credit courses are also able to stay on track towards their college degree. And that's the really important thing. It's one thing to open the doors of higher education to as many people as possible. That should always be an important goal of the state, to have the doors of higher education open for anybody that wants to enter. That's a goal, and we've done pretty well in the state to allow access, or to open the doors of access to our higher education institutions. But the bigger challenge is for students to stay enrolled and to persist and eventually graduate, to be successful in that educational journey, not just to start it, but to see it through to a credential of value. Again, whether it's a certificate, an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, or beyond. And I think that's where dual credit courses are helping along the way, because students who take some dual credit courses in high school, they start at a community college or they go to a four-year university, and that helps to increase the chances that student is going to stay enrolled and that they're going to achieve success. In other words, that they're going to graduate with some sort of a credential from that university or from that community college experience. So I agree. Dual credit has been an important tool for us to increase not just access to higher education, but success in higher education. And certainly state leadership. I mean, we've got a lot state officials who have supported legislation that has increased the number of dual credit courses that can be offered in high school. Folks there locally in your town, like State Representative Richard Raymond, State Senator Judith Zamperini, have long been supporters, along with many of their colleagues, both Republicans and Democrats, have been supportive of increasing access to dual credit courses in high school, and that's been important. So we appreciate that.
Yes, they are they're advocates for education. And Congressman Henry Cuellar, he's been
exactly.
Every time I talk to him, I tell him, you were the speaker when I graduated from high school. Then you were the speaker when I graduated from Tommy U. And then my master's, you've been in all my graduations. So they're strong advocates for.
They are, and I was going to say, Congressman Cuellar has been a longtime champion. I remember him from being an elected official in the state representative, in the House of State Representatives, and now, of course, for many years now, as the congressman from Webb County. And you're right, he has been a longtime champion of education. So many other issues as well, but especially education. Really appreciate that.
And then they have been, behind all this information that only one Hispanic graduates. From 10, only one graduates. So those were the horrible statistics that we had 6 years ago. So with all this and progress in place, we will have more students graduating. We will have more students finishing high school with higher education courses. So that would probably, take us away from that horrible statistic, because it cannot be possible that only 1 out of 10 Hispanics graduates from college.
I agree with that. That's the numbers still are should be very alarming to all of us, to be honest with you. As I talked about earlier, we've done a better job in the state over the last 10 to 20 years of increasing access to higher education. So today, compared to the year 2000, today in 2020, we have students, many more students, African American students, Hispanic students that are now enrolled in higher education, have been enrolled in higher education. So access is important, particularly for students of color. But again, I think key is success as well, and we have to find strategies and innovations to ensure that all students are supported, irrespective of race, but that all students who enter into a college experience are fully supported so that they can succeed in getting some sort of a credential. But it is true, the numbers that we see now indicate that particularly for Hispanic, Latino students, for Black students that are enrolled in higher education in the state of Texas, it's particularly true for Latino males and Black males that we're seeing less success than we ought to be seeing particularly from those groups. But it's also true for overall for Latinos and Blacks and African American students that we need to do things to find strategies to increase the level of success, in particular for those two groups of students. Those underrepresented groups of students need to make sure that we can find ways in the higher education experience for them to have success. Because right now the numbers are very low. I think at best, maybe one or maybe two at most out of every 100 students of color are able to achieve a post-secondary credential. And the numbers need to be vastly improved. When you think about the fact that in our public schools today, over 50% of the enrollment, if I'm not mistaken, in our public K-12 schools here in Texas are Latino students, and yet that's not translating. We're getting that number of students in high school or in K-12 and then graduating from high school, and yet that's not translating into the success we need, particularly from Hispanic and African American students. It's not translating into the success we need in the post-secondary environment. So again, the role of our agency is to look at this data, to work with our higher education institutions across the state and help them to get the resources that they need and the support that they need so that they can focus on ways to improve the graduation rate in post-secondary for all students. But again, the numbers indicate we need to do a particularly better job for students of color, particularly Hispanic, Latino students, and African American students as well. So those are the things that we're focused on at the agency, and we're trying to find ways to innovate and help support our institutions.
It is very interesting the fact that Latino males do not pursue, or they somewhere along the road they drop. And I conducted a little research in my school, because I work at Lyndon B. Johnson High School in South Laredo, and I've been working there for 18 years. So what I noticed was that the male students, they were being accepted to TAMIU or another institution, but before the first year, they will drop out. So I said, well, what's going on? And we noticed that most of the students, they were having, they either were getting married or, having babies, or, they wanted to help their family. So that's a lot of cultural aspects that are behind, this situation. And well, I've seen, because Macomb School of Business in UT Austin, they have summer workshops for students, for male Hispanic students, and they stay there for a week, and they give them all the information to go and experience, higher education, live at their dorms, learn from the best. And, most of those kids, they succeed. They do very well. So maybe we need to improve that in every university in Texas. So all our students, they target those male and African Americans, because that's what happens. They end up, dropping out.
I totally agree. I mean, I think what you said about students today, I think it was true for students 30 years ago as well, but even more so today, that students typically go into a college experience and they have a lot of obligations to still carry out. They have family obligations to help contribute to the family's income, or they may have a family themselves that they're trying to support while also trying to get a college degree. There are many different factors that go into what may cause a student to start a college experience and not continue on that educational journey and to stop out of that. And we have to find ways to support and to innovate and to do things that we know will be successful. And we have to look for ways that maybe respond directly to those underrepresented student populations that we know are particularly not succeeding. And again, we're talking about, as you referenced, Hispanic, Latino males and African American males in particular. Those seem to be the categories of students that go into a college experience, and we're not doing enough to support them to ensure that when they start college, they're going to be able to succeed. And that, I think, is something that we all have to be focused on. And quite frankly, I think institutions are. I mean, I think institutions like A&M International and Laredo College and others are really focused on what can we do to ensure that all students succeed. That's always the primary concern, of course, for all students to be successful and to have innovations and strategies so that all students, irrespective of race or ethnicity, can be successful. But we also have to take a look at where are the weaknesses. And it is a weakness in our educational system, our higher educational system, if we can't offer the support that's needed for students of color, particularly Hispanic males and African American males, to be able to succeed. That's our weakness as an institution, or our weakness as a system, unless we can find strategies and ways to support these students, and we have to be focused on that. I think that's really important, and we're doing that. I mean, we're doing that, but more importantly, institutions are doing that. I think institutions are really focused on student success strategies and and making sure that they can do things and have programs in place to ensure that there's greater success when a student enters, a college or a university.
Oh yes, and males, the male population, they really want to see, they want to see the purpose of for them going to college or for them getting a higher education, and I've seen that if they get some, experience with partners or with mentors or maybe through workforce solutions, they will stay because now they have a hands-on, purpose of what they want to do when they finish college. So it is a win-win. They learn, they stay. So the strong partnership with higher education leaders and workforce, that's something that we could be stronger, or we can have more mentors or more companies getting exposing those male students into their stream of knowledge. And I'm sure that that's something that you also have been working on.
We have, yeah. I think that is also true for students, is that we want to make sure that we have the support the students need on the academic side of things, but there are also students who enter more workforce focused programs, either at our community colleges or at our Texas State Technical College System, our TSTC campuses around the state, or through a regional university or a public university like A&M International. And so in that regard, so when a student decides to focus more on a workforce credential, maybe allied health, maybe somebody wants to go into a program to be an X-ray technician or something like that, we need to make sure that we have programs like that available, and that they're quality programs, that a student's going to be able to enter that kind of a program, and be assured as much as possible that when they successfully complete that program, that there's going to be a job market that is robust, that there will be employment opportunities for that particular credential, et cetera. So that's the one example, but there are conversations that are going on, particularly between institutions and employers, right? So that's important, is that if you're a local community college, then you want to be in strong partnership with various businesses and employers in your region, in your city, and in your county to ensure that the programs that you're offering on the workforce side of things are reflective of market needs for your particular region or for your particular city or county. And so those are happening. I mean, there's no question. I have the privilege of talking with community college presidents and CEOs on a weekly basis, to be honest with you. And I know that particularly for our community colleges, particularly for our Texas State Technical College System, and it's also true for our four-year universities, but particularly for our community college presidents and chancellors, they are in constant communication with and building partnerships with local chambers of commerce, and other entities that represent businesses and employers there in the local region to ensure that programs are offered that reflect the market needs of, for example, of the city of Laredo or of Webb County. So those conversations are happening. Again, the role of our agency is to help support those conversations, to encourage the conversations to occur, which they're happening, and when they do occur, to find out ways that our agency can be supportive. There may be innovations from other states that we might see as we do our interactions with our colleagues from other states, that we might come back and say to folks here at some of our community colleges, hey, you might want to think about doing this particular strategy. It seems to have worked in these other states. Those are ways that we can help add value to those conversations, make those conversations more productive. And that's in part, at least, the role of our agency is, again, to lend support and resources to our institutions locally for them to be more successful. So I hope that's helpful.
Oh, yeah. And Dr. Solis, from the president of Laredo College, he's an innovator. He came to Laredo and he, developed different initiatives, and everything has been great and exemplary, example of how we can improve. And because of him, now we have at Laredo College, there is a 4-year nursing program. So
Yeah.
it's awesome that we have that opportunity here in Laredo, but that's based also because of the decisions that are made at the state level, that we have that opportunity. So once again, it's great that we have that opportunity here. And also you mentioned about accelerating innovation in education delivery. So now things are different. Now we are going back with online courses. Every class at the college, we have been Quality Matters certified, and everyone is ready to go back and be online. That's something that innovation and the educational delivery, it's different from last year. But this is something that it's possible because of the support of the state of Texas.
I agree. I agree. I mean, obviously, when the coronavirus, the COVID-19 situation became as serious as it did back in, I'd say, early March or whatever, higher education institutions had to pivot very quickly, as you know, from primarily delivering their course content in face-to-face or in person, right? You would go to a college campus, you would sit in a college classroom and receive your instruction in that sort of face-to-face mode with an instructor or faculty member. There was a pivot that was made very quickly in mid-March or so when our higher education institutions needed to shut down, but they wanted to continue the delivery of instruction because that is the primary purpose of any higher education institution. And so that delivery of instruction moved from in-person to online. And so we've learned a lot since over the last 4 or 5 months. I mean, for many institutions, the primary mode of delivery for instruction was in person. So they've had to learn very quickly for faculty members, for administrators, for support staff, for students. We've had to sort of learn through this experience because there are some courses that maybe are not the most conducive to teaching online versus courses that really do require in-person or hands-on instruction. So it was a big shift for all higher education across the state. I think, and my boss, Commissioner Harrison Keller, who's the commissioner of the Higher Education Coordinating Board, he has said very publicly that we just think it's tremendous the job that's been done by our higher education institutions in making such a quick pivot to be able to turn courses almost overnight from delivering them in person to online. We think there's been tremendous success out there. Is there room for improvement? Of course. And our institutions are focused on improving the quality of online course delivery as much as possible. Our agency is very focused on helping in that regard, and there's been some federal funds that have come through Congress that Governor Greg Abbott's office has provided to higher education, and part of those funds will help us to provide even greater resources to institutions as they continue to deliver courses online. But that's an important piece of what our agency has to do, is to provide these resources and help our institutions to deliver the best quality instruction possible. For many, it means they have to continue to do it during this COVID environment. They have to continue to do it on an online basis or in a hybrid basis, so that some courses can be on campus to minimize the number of students who would be on the campus itself, but not all courses could be on the campus, again, to sort of keep the student population down, keep distance, and be as safe as possible. So many institutions are going to do that in a hybrid fashion. Some are going to offer their instruction. They're going to stay completely online, and all institutions of higher education are doing this in a way that is safe for students, faculty, and staff, to make sure that they minimize the possibility that there's going to be any kind of spread of COVID if students do come back, in smaller numbers to their campuses. So So again, that's a little off the top from where you started this particular question about sort of innovations or accelerating, the path to a degree. But you're right. I think online education is a key to that. I also think, just generally, when I went to college back in the mid-1980s, it was really the path was either a 2-year degree, an associate's degree, or a 4-year degree, a bachelor's degree. There was not a whole lot of thought trying to, and you did it in 2 years or you did it in 4 years. There was not a whole lot of thought to how can we innovate the higher education experience and make it more student-friendly and maybe accelerate it so that students can get done even faster than just 2 or 4 years and still achieve a degree. And I think today we now have various options where getting a degree can be accelerated in different ways. And again, maybe through dual credit, because you come into the college experience with college credits already as you come into college. That's one way to accelerate a degree path. But then you also have other options in higher education today where there is an accelerated path. Where you have some universities that offer fully online degrees, where you might be able to get your degree in faster than 4 years, whether it's an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, or faster than 2 years for an associate's degree. So there's just so much variety out there and so many options. I think that's a win for students, to be honest with you. The more options and the more choices that we have is better for students, because we need to be able to design higher education pathways. Higher education post-secondary journeys ought to fit the students that we have today, and not to say that there's only one way to do this, and that is go spend 4 years in a college classroom. We know that's not the only way to achieve a post-secondary credential, and we as institutions, we as an agency ought to help our institutions to find innovative ways to ensure that the post-secondary pathway, that post-secondary journey, is as student-friendly to today's students' needs, student-friendly to today as possible. And I think that's what we're focused on across the state.
And you also mentioned pathways to affordable, high quality. Affordable, that's something that a lot of people, they get afraid, they get scared whenever they tell you, how much the semester cost. But now it's they're giving different opportunities through different programs, so the students can finish a college degree affordably, and they will not be in debt.
I agree. I mean, that's also just key. I mean, I've talked a lot during this interview about the importance of higher education institutions in our agency innovating and being as student-friendly as possible. Part of that as well, so that would be strategies to ensure student success. But part of that is also to ensure affordability. There's no question about that. So you've raised a very important issue, and we have to find ways to make a post-secondary degree or a post-secondary credential as affordable as possible. And again, this is another area that I have been really focused on trying to do that. Being able to achieve a nursing degree, a full year, a BSN, a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, and to do it at a quality institution like Laredo College, which you mentioned that they're now offering, 4-year nursing degrees there because of the state allowing that to happen over the past few years. Now we have some community colleges throughout the state. Here in Austin, there's one, Austin Community College. You mentioned Laredo College, and others that are offering students the chance to not just get credentialed as a nurse, but to actually get a bachelor's degree in nursing, and maybe open up even broader career choices, all through doing so at a community college, which we know is one of the most cost-effective ways to get a degree. Our community colleges offer excellent value, and they're also, compared to other community colleges around the country, a great affordable choice. That's true for many of our universities as well, but for our community colleges, that certainly is true. To be able to do that, a full bachelor's of science degree in nursing through a community college is one way that we've innovated to allow for students to have a more affordable pathway to a very high-value credential, because we know the state is in great need of more BSN credentialed nurses across the state. So that's a great innovation. It's a good example of innovating around affordability.
Excellent. Well, you know, we're so lucky at this time in history that we are able to go to college affordably. We're able to go to college and accelerate innovation. We are lucky to have strong partnerships, and also we're very lucky to have, representatives like you in the state of Texas that will help and innovate and look forward for the rest of the population or the Hispanic and also African American population in the state. Mm-hmm. I want to thank you very, very much for being part of this interview. Ray Martinez III, JD, Deputy Commissioner for Academic Affairs and Work for Education, Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. Thank you so much for being part of this interview, for inspiring, for giving us information, and also sharing with us all your knowledge, because you are a well of knowledge, like I said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed it. Happy visiting with you, and stay safe and healthy.
Well, thank you very much once again, and I'm sure Laredo is very thankful, and you will see those horrible, statistics about being one Hispanic out of 10 that graduates from college. That's going to be very different in a very few years. So once again, thank you very much, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate the fact that you share with us this morning everything that you know about higher education. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you very, very much. Querido Radio Escuchas, vamos a un corte y pues tuvimos la presencia de Ray Martinez III, es el comisionado de todo lo que es Higher Education, la educación superior en el estado de Texas. Muchísimas gracias por verdaderamente inspirarnos y darnos información de primera mano directamente del estado de Texas. Pues no se vayan, esto es Pasos de Éxito, mi nombre es Ana Cristina Martínez y esto es XHGTS 107.3.
Vamos a un corte y regresamos con más de Pasos de Éxito. Bienvenidos a Pasos de Éxito con Ana Cristina Martínez.
Muy buenos días a todos nuestros queridos radioescuchas. Ustedes están sintonizando XHGTS 107.3. Mi nombre es Ana Cristina Martínez y esto es Pasos de Éxito. Pues, ¿qué les pareció la entrevista con el comisionado Ray Martinez III desde el estado de Texas, dándonos información sobre lo que es la educación superior, lo que es también las fuentes de trabajo, de Workforce Education, y pues todo lo que nos habló sobre innovación, nos habló sobre cómo apoya el estado de Texas a todos los educaciones a nivel superior para continuar educando y para continuar recibiendo fondos del estado. Y pues para desarrollar nuevas alternativas de poder tener una educación superior. Y cuando yo digo educación superior, puede ser la universidad de 4 años, ¿sí? O puede ser una carrera técnica. Hoy en día las carreras técnicas son muy necesarias. En esta pandemia nos dimos cuenta que hay una gran necesidad de todo el sector de salud, ¿sí? Todos los que están estudiando para ser técnicos en radiología, técnicos de enfermeros, técnicos en el área de los que sacan sangre, técnicos de laboratorio, técnicos en el área de todo lo que es la management, ¿sí? La administración de un consultorio. Todo esto es muy importante y hoy en día también tiene Laredo College la carrera de Cyber Security, seguridad cibernética, que pues como ustedes saben, de esta pandemia hemos aprendido que todo lo compramos en línea, hacemos pagos en línea, hacemos todo en línea, por lo tanto es muy esencial que una persona se prepare en estas áreas. Y yo me quedo con muy buen sabor de boca después de esta entrevista, porque sabemos que hay personas trabajando a nivel estatal para ayudar a que todos estudien, ayudar a que los hispanos no se queden atrás, a que tengan una educación a un costo que puedan pagar, que puedan tener la oportunidad de recibirse de una carrera técnica o una carrera universitaria, y también tener para poder entender que para el año 2030 seamos el 60% de las personas que habitamos en Texas una carrera, ¿sí? Una carrera ya sea tecnológica o de 4 años. También aprendimos en esta entrevista que los que más sufren pues ahora sí que el abandono, ¿sí?, de los estudios, los que más sufren son los hombres latinos, los hombres hispanos. Entonces, hombres hispanos, ustedes son ahora sí que el talón de Aquiles del estado de Texas, y están preocupados por ustedes porque abandonan sus estudios. Nuestra cultura, ¿verdad?, es muy, pues, muy paternalista, y dicen, no, yo tengo que ponerme a trabajar para pagar todo lo de mi casa o todo lo que tengo que resolver, ¿verdad? O atender a mi esposa o mis hijos, pero no podemos hacer a un lado la educación. La educación es bien importante para que puedan tener un mejor trabajo, un mejor salario, y eso es importantísimo hoy en día, porque solamente dice el comisionado que dos hombres de 100 son los que terminan la universidad. Entonces, pues es un número alarmante, es un número que preocupa, y para eso, pues ustedes vayan a las páginas de Texas A&M International University, vean los requisitos, hablen con el departamento de reclutamiento para que puedan ser admitidos, o hablen directamente a Laredo College. Si ustedes quieren una carrera más corta, hay carreras desde técnico en mecánico de diésel hasta cyber security, ¿sí? O sea, seguridad cibernética, todo el área de lo que es medicina, todo tienen Laredo College esos recursos. También, si ustedes quieren certificarse como plomeros, certificarse como electricistas, también lo tienen. Así que bueno, pues las oportunidades ahí están, y aprovechémosla ahora que tienen hasta descuento las clases. Y pues nuestra contribución, nuestra forma de ayudar a la comunidad es informándoles lo que hay disponible, lo que estamos ahorita trabajando para que todos salgamos adelante. Porque si una comunidad sale adelante junta, es una comunidad rica, es una comunidad importante, es una comunidad que tiene lo que necesita para ponerse al nivel de cualquier universidad o cualquier ciudad del mundo. Así que bueno, queridos radioescuchas, pues esto fue Pasos de Éxito. Espero que hayan disfrutado mucho el programa, así como lo disfruté yo, y pues ustedes tengan algo que pensar este día, y apunten sus cosas para que puedan lograrlo y puedan realizar su proyecto de vida. Así que muchísimas gracias. Esto fue Pasos de Éxito. Mi nombre es Ana Cristina Martínez, y ustedes sintonizaron esta mañana XHGTS 107.3.
Esto fue Pasos de Éxito con Ana Cristina Martínez. No te lo pierdas. Todos los sábados encuentra todos los programas pasados en el canal de YouTube Pasos de Éxito, y búscanos en Facebook. Dale like a la